Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back with another episodes of Two Dudes in a Room. My name is Oscar.
My name is Nathan.
And we're here to give the people what they want.
That's
Nathan,
right.
You have something for us?
I do. Actually, we were given a question from one of our viewers, which I thought was pretty interesting, which is, what is the single most physically demanding thing you have ever endured, experienced, put yourself in, what have you? That's our question that we'll start it off with today.
First of all, I would like to thank that listener for sending that question in.
Please put your name on the form next time because it was completely anonymous, so
Yeah.
we can't credit you. Although I have my
Exactly.
suspicions about who it was, but
It's cool that we have listeners. It's awesome. Thank you guys for doing that.
yeah, I didn't think we'd get this far.
Yeah, honestly. 5 episodes.
Shit, dude.
Here we are.
What are we even doing?
Here we are. We made it. Anyway, you want me to start?
I mean, yeah, man, take it away.
All right. Well, the most physically exhausting or strenuous or what?
Yeah, just like it was we'll just leave it at the most intense physical challenge.
Okay, so that would be hands down the Crucible for Marine Corps boot camp. So what the Crucible is a 3-day long. I guess it's like a I forget what you call it, like an experience. Like it's like a final test. If you can finish the Crucible, you're a Marine, basically. And what the Crucible is, it's 3 days. In those 3 days, you get like 2-3 hours of sleep.
Wow.
You get 2 MREs that you can eat whenever, but you have to make that last for 3 days. And while you're doing that, you're hiking everywhere in the middle of if you're West Coast and you're a real Marine, you're hiking up and down draws, which are these like deep grooves in like the middle of the desert. So it's like little canyons where you're running up and down draws and you're doing different challenges, and it is excruciating. It's hot. It's like tiring because you're always constantly moving. I think over the 3 days, they say you're marching a total of like 50 something miles.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you don't have any sleep. You're
So
exhausted.
you're just going. You can't
just
ever stop. Like you're just constantly.
you're just going. And then when you do sleep, you have fire watch. So those 3 hours of sleep you get is really 2. So you have 1 hour where you have to
do
stay up.
rotations on.
Exactly. You have 1 hour where you have to stay up and you have to, watch to make sure nobody's stealing shit or whatever. And that experience was probably the hardest I ever worked like physically in my life. It was nuts, dude, because you had to like, sometimes they would just randomly come around and say, bang, you're dead. And somebody would drop to the ground, and you had to carry that dude. You had to drag him with
Holy
like every,
shit.
and they would usually say that to like the biggest motherfucker.
Of course, yeah.
I remember this dude, Wood. He was like 6'4", like over 200 pounds, and they said, Wood, you're dead. And then I happened to be right next to him, and we had to like drag this motherfucker in full gear
God.
with like sappy plates and everything. And this dude, yeah, he was just a big corn-fed motherfucker, and we just had to drag him across the desert. You have to like do like crawling through wire. You have to like they have you do like team exercises, like learning like squad drills and stuff like that. And it was just hell, dude. And you had the 2 MREs, and you're like starving the entire time. And I remember having like, I think I had like pretzels in one, and I would just like, every time we got a chance to stop, I would just like eat a pretzel, like a pretzel stick,
A
and like
single
just,
pretzel stick.
and just like savor it.
This
And
is
like keep going. And then like you had to choose when you wanted to eat your main meal and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh man. And for me, it was even worse because the day before we went out to the Crucible, I got my wisdom teeth removed.
Oh,
so I had
the day.
yes, it was like the
Why?
day before.
Why the day?
It was the day before. They just called me out. They were like, "Hey, go to dental." I went to dental, and they were like, "All right." I used to have a chipped tooth. They fixed my chipped tooth, and they pulled 2 of my wisdom teeth. I think my bottom wisdom teeth. And when they did that, it fucking it hurt a lot. So like I remember just being in pain, like, because you have to, when you're at the Crucible, you have to wear your Kevlar and have that buckled under your chin, and like I just remember being in like terrible pain, dude.
That fucking sucks, dude.
But they gave me like ibuprofen. So so I was like
they
only
gave
one.
me serious shit when I got my wisdom tooth removed.
Not me.
I was like loopy on my bed. You know,
if you're ever in the military, anybody in the military knows this, but when they give you like painkillers, it's usually Motrin and water. and so I just got ibuprofen, and they told me to go out there and do it. And so
holy shit, dude.
So yeah, so you're doing this for the 2 days, right? Or the 3 days? No, 2. It's 2 days. The last day is the Reaper. So for real Marines who graduate in the West Coast, we have this thing called the Reaper. The Reaper is the last challenge of the Crucible. It's like this hella high, vertical, almost completely vertical cliff, or like, yeah. I guess it's like a kind of, it's not a mountain, but it's just like a really big hill, and it's like completely vertical, almost on one side, and you have to hike. I think it's like hiking 5 miles out, and then going up the hill, and then hiking the 5 miles back, or something like that. And at the top of the Reaper, you get your EGA, which means you're officially a Marine, right? So I remember the night that we were doing that. You wake up at like 3 a.m. and it's like super cold. You're bone tired, but I was kind of like just super excited because like once you do this
is it.
Once you do this, it's all over. 13 weeks of hell,
right?
And like all the shit that you went through. This is what it was for, is to become a Marine. And I remember waking up at like 5 a.m. and getting all my stuff together, and like I just remember I just want this to be over. I just want it to be over. I just want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And we hiked there, and like I fucking hate hiking, dude. I hated it, dude. Because you have to have, it's like
there's a difference between the fucking Crucible and hey, let's go for a hike.
No, a hike in the Marine Corps is different from a civilian hike.
So you're saying a Marine Corps hike is what you hate, not a civilian hike?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, although now I think it kind of bled
it like
in.
fucked you over for normal hikes.
It kind of bled in for normal hikes too. But in Marine Corps or in boot camp, they would give you like your pack, and you have to fill it up with all kinds of bullshit, and you'd have to carry it while you were hiking. So it was like a 60-pound pack on your back. And
damn, dude.
You're like. And think about that. The entire time that you're hiking during the Crucible, you have that pack with you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you're just like constantly.
Your fucking shoulders must be killing you, dude.
Dog. And you wonder why I have like back problems now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so you have that pack, and you're hiking. So we're hiking through this mountain, and it's like pitch black. There's no lights out. And we don't really know where we're going. We've heard about the Reaper. We've never. It was like a mystical thing. Like you didn't know what you're gonna see.
You didn't know what to expect either.
You didn't know what to expect, and you're just like, man, I can't wait to see it. Like, people were like, I remember walking in line, and like people were like pointing at like different mountains and stuff like that, and they're like, is that the Reaper? I heard that one's the Reaper, and like blah blah. And it was like, that one's like super huge, like that has to be the Reaper and stuff like that. And like I remember seeing one that was like way above us, and I'm like, man, that's probably the Reaper. And like, how am I gonna climb that? How am I gonna do that? I'm so tired. I can't explain to you how fucking tired I was.
Just like every part of your body was tired.
Also, I also played on hard mode because and this might be TMI, but you know, I don't care. I didn't use the bathroom. I didn't do number 2 for like the entire time that I did the Crucible, because the only place you could do that was in these nasty ass porta potties, and I did not. I'm a very shy pooper, and so I did not do that. So like, I haven't pooped in like 2 days. I was just like going through. My body was going through it. I'd eaten mostly MREs, and so like that shit was doing.
So you were all blocked up and shit.
Dude, it was terrible. But I was hurting. So it was like the worst, dude. And so we get down to this little mountain town, which is it's just like a bunch of buildings that they built up so we can do training and stuff in. And they're like, all right, we're here. And you're like, which one is it? And when you're hiking, you have like a truck that drives in front of you to show you where you're going. It's like the safety truck where, you know, if you're injured, you fall back to and go in. And they had the truck go ahead of us. And remember, it's still pitch black. And you see the truck's headlights, and you start seeing the truck go up this hill. And then it goes up, and it kind of dips a little bit, and then goes up, and then dips, and then keeps going up.
It just keeps going up.
And it was at the point to where, like, I was looking at this truck, and the truck looked like it was completely up and down vertical.
Wow, just
like, and like I just remember the lights of the truck going straight up, and I'm like, ain't no way. Like, ain't no way, bro.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I can't explain to you that moment. But it was just like freezing cold. And like I saw that and I'm like, there's no way I'm getting up this damn hill.
It's impossible.
It's not fucking possible. And I just remember turning to one of my friends and I'm like, there's just no way. And he's like, come on, man, you got to do it. It's like the last. It's like the last thing. Yep. You just do this, and we hike back, and then we get to have the Warriors breakfast. And so I was like, you know what? You're right. We just got to go out and do it. And so we start stepping off, and they're doing like the moto, what's it called? We're doing moto cadences and stuff like that, and we're just like
whatever you can do to just get through it
on it, dude. Yeah. I just remember they would have you go in waves so you didn't get bunched up or whatever. And I remember when it was my time, I was just like, just getting up, and you would get up like a certain part, and then it would be another incline, and then so it'd just be climbing and climbing and climbing.
Yeah.
And then I remember finally getting to the top, and we all form up. And our first sergeant comes out, and he gives this speech. And as he's giving the speech, the sunrise is coming up.
Wow.
And you just realize that you fucking did it. You made it. And like all of it was worth it because now you're a Marine. Like now you did it.
Yeah.
And so I got when our first sergeant finishes his speech, he says something to the effect of, you're now, a U.S. Marine. Thank you, Marines. Something like that. And like he called it, but the thing is he called us a Marine for the first time not a recruit. And like a recruit is nothing. A recruit is dog shit.
But when he calls you Marines, that shit hits different.
And it fucking, dude, when I say, that was probably one of the only time, that was the only time in my life that I can ever say I cried out of pure joy.
Yeah.
Like I started like I've never had emotions like that.
Your body was
strong,
put through
dude.
this like ridiculous experience, which builds up all these endorphins in your brain.
Yeah,
and then for all of it to like be worth it, and you get the reward. You worked hard for this reward. You get it. It's an impossible task, and it's while like the sun is rising and shit.
Dog, it was.
That's like a specific environment that has to be set up for you to have that emotional payoff.
Exactly. It was probably the most beautiful moment in my life. And like he just said, congratulations, Marines. And I just start bawling, dude. I fucking lose it. I'm like, oh my fucking God. And I like other people are crying too. And like, I'm just like tears in my eyes.
Sure.
And I'm like, man, Oh, it was fucking worth it though. Like we did it.
Yeah.
And then we got our EGAs. Our drill instructors hand us our EGAs, and they shake our hands for the first time.
The EGA is right. You said the document that like.
No. It's an Eagle Globe and Anchor.
Oh,
and
nice.
it's like a little metal emblem.
Cool.
And they put it in your hand, and you shake your drill instructor's hand with your other hand, and that's the first time they show you respect.
Wow.
Ever. That's like the first time they ever
treat you like a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like that moment is like, man, like it's different now.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'm different. And so I don't know. It was an amazing experience. It was a terrible experience on one hand, but it was an amazing experience. And then we hiked back the 5 miles back to the barracks, and then we got to have the Warriors breakfast, which was the best breakfast I've ever had, even though the food was not, it wasn't the best, but to me at that moment, it was amazing. It's an all you can eat thing. First of all, we got to, I can't remember if we slept first, but you get to sleep for like a full 8 hours.
Wow.
And like that felt
that
like,
doesn't happen at all.
Yeah, but like it was so cool though, because they weren't on us. We didn't have to.
They just like let you sleep.
They just let you sleep. They said
it was the one time they were like, we'll give them some slack.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, okay, you can. All right, everybody go to bed, and then be ready by this time. And then we just got to be ready. We didn't have to be called to the line. We didn't have to like get yelled at or anything like that. It was just like be ready, and we were. And then we went out to the Warriors breakfast, and we ate so fucking much, dude.
How'd you sleep that night, bro?
Dog, that was the greatest
hours?
Dog, that was the greatest sleep. Like,
You
dude,
probably put your head down and just fucking gone.
I'd never felt so fucking.
As soon as you
rested,
touch
dude.
that pillow, you're like,
it was. I was done,
Yeah.
and we ate. I ate. So they had like steak and lobster, and they had like all
Damn.
kinds of. Oh yeah,
it went all out.
Oh yeah, they had steak and lobster. They had all kinds of different foods. They had pancakes. They had sausage. They had bacon. Everything you can imagine they had, and like all the
Damn.
juice that you wanted to drink and stuff like that. You could have cake, and it was like I just remember fucking gorging myself.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
And
just
then,
like,
I think actually we had the Warriors breakfast first, and then we went to go sleep.
that's probably the time in your life that you
Yeah.
felt most like
Yeah,
Luffy. You
yeah.
know how he eats so much,
Yes.
but he always does like crazy strenuous shit.
Right.
That when there's a difference. I've experienced this too, where I've never done anything like the Crucible, but I've experienced like working my fucking ass off
Yes.
physically
Yeah.
for so long, and then finally having like hot, good food in front
Right.
of you. It's like a different type of hunger.
Oh,
like your
yeah.
body's like, I need these nutrients right now.
Yeah.
Like it hits different.
That's exactly what it was like. It was like the end of an arc One Piece festival.
Yeah.
you just
Everyone's
got to,
just going crazy.
You
eating,
just
like,
you just eat, and then
feast.
you're just telling jokes with all your buddies. You're
the mood
you
is
know,
light.
Oh man, you're just it was the best day, dude.
Yeah.
Like I just man, it was amazing.
That's awesome,
And so like you can't really understand it without like
Of course.
being there. And so
Yeah.
it's just like, man, but like after it's done, like you don't have to do anything
I have a
like
question
that
for you.
crazy. Huh? Go ahead.
Would you do it again?
That's a tough question to ask. So I haven't answered this question. People ask me all the time, like, would I go, into the military again, or would I go into the Air Force?
Well,
or,
I think you actually answered that on episode 2.
yeah. But
You guys should go listen to episode 2.
yeah,
It's pretty good.
I would say that if I got to do it with my friends, I would do it all again. I couldn't do it with like another group of people.
It needs to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It needs to be those specific group of guys
Yeah.
because, man, it's a lot, and those guys help you get it through. Whether it's the joking, whether it's the,
camaraderie.
just camaraderie, being there for one another. I just feel like there's nobody I'd rather go through it with. So yeah.
Hell yeah,
But that was the Crucible, man. It was
Wow.
wild, dude.
Damn. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
My answer is not a 20-minute awesome story.
Sorry.
No.
About
I
that.
don't
Yeah.
mean like it's not bad. I just don't have as awesome of an answer. That was like a pivotal moment in your life. None of my physically demanding moments were pivotal moments in my life. So they're gonna seem pretty pale in comparison. But
Right.
I have like 3 if I can do that
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
because I have different reasons for each one. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So I would say probably the first one I'll list is I used to build fences when I was 14.
Right.
So I was this 14-year-old scrawny kid on ADHD, on Adderall meds. So I was malnutritioned, and I had never done, except for band camp in high school, I had never done any physical labor at all. I never did sports, ever, not even for fun. Never threw the football on the lawn with my dad, none of that, nothing.
Never, not even for fun.
Not even for fun.
If there was a fire.
No, never, nothing. So, and I grew up with a computer. I was given video games and a computer at an early age, and I just latched onto those things. So I was like, my body had never been through like
stress,
physical labor,
right,
and experienced that whole thing, and so it wasn't ready for it.
Was this a job, or did you just?
So what this was, what was going on is that I just definitely avoided the sentence was because that's grammatically correct in English, and I just didn't want to participate in such a terrible thing. So I avoided that there. I don't know if you caught that, but what happened was my stepdad was offering. He did carpentry. He would do like fence work and like not like advanced lawn work, like metal fences and
advanced lawn work.
Like yeah, the shit that's like, you know, you can't just like get someone off the street to do it.
Right.
It's like you need equipment, or you need to understand how to use that equipment.
Right.
And you know, he would do like jackhammer stuff and like crazy shit like that. You know, and I remember when I was 14, I can't remember why, but I wanted a gaming computer. I didn't have a gaming computer. I had like an okay computer.
Right.
And that wasn't enough for little Nathan. You know, he needed that gaming shit. So I fucking got myself, I wanted a laptop. I wanted a gaming laptop. And at the time, there was like a Asus, I think it was Asus. There was like an Asus laptop that was like 21 inches wide, which is wide for a laptop. It was bulky. It was a fucking brick, but it was like a gaming machine at the time. It was really good at the time.
Right.
Nowadays, it's probably nothing. But I remember it was like one of the first times I ever got like a 3 gigahertz processor, and I was like freaking out about that at 14, and like it was all the rage. But the problem was it was like $4,000.
Right.
I think it was like 3,000, which I can't remember. I think it was 3,000, but that was a lot. Not only was it a lot for a kid, that was a lot to spend on a computer at the time.
At all, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck, dude, like how am I going to do this, you know? But I wanted it so bad, and I had been kind of like starting to do some fence jobs with my stepdad, just because he asked me if I wanted to be involved in it, and he wanted to get some help from me, and it was good to put me through physical activity for once, you know?
Right.
And he made a deal with me. He said, I'll tell you what, if you, because he would give me a cut of the fence jobs, but it was like an allowance. He said, I'll give you like a proper employee cut of these fence gigs, and if you use that to save up half the cost of the laptop, I'll cover the other half.
Okay.
Suddenly, this like dream of this laptop,
it's possible.
I had never had a real gaming computer, and now at 14, I was gonna get like, you know, something I knew was more advanced and capable than any console out at that time.
Right.
Like it was, because like the consoles out at that time weren't super. It's not like the PS5 now. Like they weren't the most advanced. So
what year was that?
Oh, I was 14. So shoot, that would have been 2006. Would have been 2010.
Oh yeah, that was like what, PS3?
Yeah, it was like Xbox 360. Yeah, I think so. So you know, they weren't really like anything insane, and like this laptop could run anything.
PS4 came out in 2011, 2012.
This laptop could like run Crysis and shit.
Right.
You know, like it was like crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, you know, and suddenly it was possible, and I was like, yes, I'll do it. So I did it, bro, and I started doing like serious fence gigs, and I don't know, I highly doubt that anyone listening to this right now has ever built a fence.
I've built a fence,
dude.
Well, I've helped build a fence.
So I don't know if my experience was the same as what you experienced, but I did a lot of different fence gigs, dude. I did like metal fences that spanned like a football field's length on a massive rich property down to like small wooden fences that had to be taken out of the ground
Right.
and replaced.
That shit sucks.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that's the fucking worst.
And I was going to tell about one of those stories is actually in it was like a different neighborhood, and it had been like a shitty rainy situation the previous day, and we were at the point where the way that we were taking, the way you take fences out is when you replace them, you cut the so in between each of the vertical posts that go into the ground, all the pickets, which are held up by the 2x4s, the horizontal 2x4s, form like, we call it a panel. That space between each 4x4 is a panel. And so you take a tool like a Sawzall, which cuts, and you just cut the nails, but holding the 2x4 to the post, and then you just cut the pickets, and you end up with just this panel, which is just a bunch of pickets and some 2x4s,
Right.
And you stack those pickets up somewhere, and now you're just left with like a bunch of posts.
Right.
And now you got to get those posts out of the ground.
Yeah.
So,
Usually concrete.
right, with concrete in the bottom of them. The problem is, oftentimes when you're replacing an old fence, it's because the wood is old and it started to like lean.
Yeah.
And the reason it started to lean is because those posts have started to rot.
Right.
So the problem with getting those posts out of the ground is, the best case scenario for getting a post out of the ground is that you can take the post and the concrete out at the same time. And that's doable. That's not like a unicorn. You can do it, but you need special equipment or you need to get lucky. But if the wood is rotted, it's just going to snap off from that concrete as soon as you start to pull pressure on it. Well, that's made even worse when the ground, because it rained, is muddy.
Right.
Because it creates like that suction that
Yeah.
holds the concrete down.
Yep.
So there had been times in previous jobs where the 4x4 would break, but it was usually like, when I went into a fence job, I knew there was going to be one post out of like 8 or 12 that was going to be like that.
Right.
Every single post broke.
How
And-
many posts were there?
Oh, I don't remember. Usually the posts on an average fence are like 7 to 8, 7 to 9. So it was a lot. It was like 8. Let's say 8
Yeah.
average. And they all broke. And the way it works is like, we would take a I can't remember how we used to do it. I think we would take a chain and we would wrap it around the bottom of, like, we would dig a, oh, I remember now. We would take a chain and wrap it around the fence post, and we used like a winch to pull it out.
Pull it out. Right.
And it takes a lot to set that up. And then one person has to operate the winch, and the other person has to like hold it steady,
Yeah.
And so it was just like, every 20 minutes, we'd go to the next post, and it would
Right.
just break.
Yeah.
So for like hours, I'm just like setting up another thing, getting my hopes up, watching it break, knowing I'm going to have to get that out of the ground.
Right.
And that happened like 8 times in
Right.
a row. So that was fucking shitty. Keep in mind, we would do this. It was during one summer. I got the money for the laptop, by the way,
Right.
but it was like $1,500. So it took like an entire summer. I worked my ass off for like one summer just doing nothing but fence gigs. So it was hot as dick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Texas hot as shit. And fucking dude, when the post breaks, what you have to do is you have to go down into the ground and you have to I don't know what the right word is. Like, you have to reveal the concrete.
Yeah.
You have to take it out of the dirt.
Yeah.
And the concrete, typically, I'd say like most concrete are like 2 feet deep. A lot of the times, the people who build those fences were contractors, like for the neighborhood.
Right.
And so what they would do is they would overshoot the amount of concrete bags they needed, instant concrete bags they needed for the job. So when they got to the last post, they would just throw all the concrete in. And you'd end up with this massive. I have stories of like massive ones we'd pull out that were gigantic. Like, not one person can lift them,
Right.
But usually it was just like shitty. And so you had to like, take it out of the ground to reveal it. And then you had to find the perimeter of this like concrete circle in the ground. And then you have to dig like a 3-inch deep trench going around the perimeter of the concrete. So you can take the chain and wrap it around the concrete and pull it up.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is sometimes, like, because it wasn't a perfect concrete thing, the tension and the weight would like break
Snap.
corners of the concrete off. So guess what you got to do now? Dig deeper. You can't just like reset the chain.
Right.
And it was muddy. So I'm like digging muddy, clayey dirt in like 8 posts in like fucking peak of summer Texas heat.
Yeah.
And it's the way that the fence was set up, it's like on my back. So I'm just wearing like one short sleeve shirt and the sun's just, have you ever experienced the sun just being at your back for like hour? That shit sucks. It's like hot as a bitch, just right there. It's like burning hot, no clouds in the sky.
Right.
And I'm not home. I'm like somewhere where like, you know, I can't just like take a break. My stepdad was pretty like on me, so he wouldn't let me take a lot of breaks. Right. And I had never experienced physical labor like that before, so that was a whole thing. When you're a kid, you just get frustrated, you don't know what to do.
I bet you were sore as fuck.
Don't know, dude. I was. I hate it, but I just hated it. I remember just like hating every fucking bit of it. I hated that I was there. I hated that I couldn't take a break. I fucking hated the work. I had ADHD, so I was doing a menial, repetitive task for hours with no escape and no break in heat, with no physical labor. It just sucked. Everything about it was just like ass. I was like, this fucking sucks. I hate this. And the worst part about it is I was digging dirt with crowbars.
Woof. Why didn't you have a shovel?
That's a great question, Oscar. I had to use fucking crowbars.
Man, that sounds like a Marine Corps thing if I've ever heard one before.
I remember like getting to a point of frustration where I had been doing the same thing. Digging with the crowbar is not easy, by the way. You have to use you have to use the straight part of it and like sit there and do this, and you're like crouched down on your fucking knees in the heat, so that starts to get sore and shit, you know. And you're just fucking doing this with your back like hunched over, so your back starts to hurt. And after like 6 posts, I remember like the dirt just I don't know if it was because I was tired or like I was becoming numb or like the dirt, I wasn't strong enough, but the dirt just like wouldn't dig. Like no matter how much I hit at it, I wasn't making the overall depth of the trench go down very much. Right. It was taking forever. And I remember just like hitting the dirt like I was just a robot, and I was just like sitting there just hitting the dirt, knowing it wasn't doing shit, just trying to dig, and just like knowing that like, you know, my stepdad was going to come back and see that like I hadn't made any progress. Damn. And like, you know, get mad at me or like make me do it another way or some shit. And that just went on for like the whole project. And we got it done. We finally dug all the way around it, got everything out, and the building the fence part is easy, but it was such like an endurance test because I had never experienced physical labor, and I just couldn't take breaks, and I wanted to so bad. I'd always been given instant gratification on games and shit like that. Right. It was like the complete opposite, you know? Yeah. So that was one for sure.
A hot graft. Yeah.
The other one was probably when I was in high school marching band. We had first off, high school marching band training is pretty rough. Like, you're out there on we were out there on like an asphalt parking lot through all the summer. Yeah. During the summer, I was building fences, by the way. Right. And you know, I played bass drum, so I was like 90 pounds, and I had this metal harness that's not cushioned very well on me, and like a big old drum on me, and you just have to like get your water and do routines where you just run around the whole fucking parking lot for like an hour. Yeah. That was rough, but this particular one, we were marching in, I think it was Arizona. We went to the Rose Bowl in Arizona, and that was an awesome experience. But the morning of the Rose Bowl thing, we had to do like a parade. Right. And a parade is rough. Doing a parade is hard because you're just walking for a long time. Yeah. And when you experience a parade, for you, it's just a thing that comes and goes. Right. But those people are walking like many, many, many miles. Yeah. And I had never done anything like that again, you know? Right. So, and to make matters worse, they wanted to make me the guy at the front of the parade. Right. So I was the star at the front. The only people in front of me were the color guard. So I just had to follow the color guard. And my job was to drum a specific beat that we would just repeat. It was just a song that we would play. You know, the whole band was there. So there was the brass section, the woodwind section. They all had their part. And
I feel for the tuba guy.
Dude, I know.
Tuba guy probably had it hard.
Tuba guy had it fucking hard. They did. I remember they did. You'd look back and see them like fucking resetting and like sweating and shit all the time. Trying to, and when you get into that, you just like, you get into this loop where you just keep trying to reset the gear on you, and it never helps.
Ladies and gentlemen, remember to always tip your tuba guys.
Yeah, tip the tuba guys, dude, because they work their fucking asses off, bro. That bass note is hard to produce.
Yeah.
And fucking, to make matters worse, because I was the guy at the front, I had to do things traditionally. So instead of holding drumsticks, how I'm sure people listening to this imagine, I had to do a traditional style, which is where you hold your left hand with the palm up and you hold the drumstick between your thumb and your index finger and resting on your ring finger of your left hand. And you rotate your wrist to play, whereas on your right hand, you play like normal. It's called traditional style. And I was doing that not with a snare drum. I was doing that with a bass drum. And the bass drum was a very old, like, style marching bass drum
Right.
on a sling over my shoulder so that the head of the bass drum was facing up and at my hip.
Right.
And I was, like, probably one of the shortest kids in the entire parade. So this fucking drum is, like, smacking the shit out of my kneecap. Just smacking it. It's not supposed to be doing that because I'm supposed to be taller.
Right.
A person wearing this sling is supposed to be taller. So like the outside of this drum has like those like spokes, metal spokes, and they're just fucking smacking. And to make matters worse, it was freezing that morning. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Arizona.
I have been.
It's a desert.
Yes.
It gets cold as shit when it gets cold.
And hot as fuck.
And hot as fuck.
Yeah.
It was cold as a bitch, dude. And it got so cold, I think it's the first time, it might be the second, I think it was the first time. I think it was the first time I ever experienced minor frostbite. Minor frostbite happens when you lose muscle ability and feeling in one of your hands, in one of your muscles. That's classified as minor frostbite. So it got so I couldn't use my left hand. I couldn't use my left hand, and it got like that before we started the parade. So I remember going up to my like drum instructor, Mr. Polk was his name at the time, and I remember being like, Mr. Polk, he was like, have you ever seen Whiplash?
Yeah.
He was like that.
He was like that.
Now, obviously, that movie is a little exaggerated. He wasn't like hitting us and he threw shit at us. He threw shit at us.
In a high school band.
Yes, crazy. Yeah, he took that shit for real. And he was a very big, intimidating dude, you know? I think anyway. So I was and I had like anxiety problems as a scrawny kid. I was scared as shit, you know? So I'm like, fuck, it took a lot for me to go to Mr. Polk and say, sir, I don't think I can use, you know?
Yeah.
But I did it. I was like, look, Mr. Polk, like, I'm not like complaining. It's so cold. My fingers don't move. They're not moving. Can I just like play by moving my wrist? And he was like, yeah, just do it until you can use your fingers. It's fine. So that parade was like just this massive endurance test of me getting my fucking kneecap smacked. To this day, I have like crackles in that kneecap when I move it.
Yeah.
Getting my kneecap smacked raw.
Right.
In this like shitty uniform that's hot. The uniforms that we had to wear were hot. And this like shako that we had to wear, the sweat like collecting in the fucking shako and like coming down into your eyes, and you can't do anything about it because you have to keep drumming and looking like perfect as you move. And my left hand wasn't fucking working and shit. And you know, like just shitty. That sucked. That was my second one probably.
Yeah.
And then my third one, this one I wasn't sure if you were going to count because it's not like.
What do you mean?
It might not be podcast appropriate, actually.
Go ahead.
It's not.
Everything's podcast appropriate.
Well, that is
when you're
fat.
saying it on a podcast.
That is false.
Just say it.
It's the most painful thing I've ever experienced.
Okay.
Let's just say that because of a surgery that was performed on me, because I fucking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, I had some sort of trauma that must have occurred to me, and I can think of multiple times where like I got my dick hit by like a kickball,
right?
You know, or like some shit like that. I don't know which time it was.
Kickball.
Yeah, yeah. No. It really did. It got hit by a fucking kickball.
Right.
But the one that I think caused it was I used to open up the bottom cabinet when I was short and a kid. I used to open up the bottom cabinet of the kitchen counter, stand on the open door, and use that to get to the top counter. And one time I slipped, and I skate videoed that shit.
The
So
credit card.
what I didn't know is when that kind of stuff happens to you, you'll be okay. You'll like heal normally and be okay as a kid, and then like 11 years later, like scarring will appear.
The reckoning.
Yeah. Like for whatever reason, your body will just like produce scarring. and I happened to get some inside my dick. So I had to get a surgery to remove it. I won't go into the details, but let me tell you like this. When you're done with that surgery, they got to stick a tube in you, you know? What we call a catheter.
Yes.
And that catheter has many different forms. But the catheter I had to use had a balloon on the inside of it. So there's a balloon inflated in your bladder so that it can't come out. And I had to walk into a fucking doctor's office after a week and a half of having that shit in me, right? And they deflated the balloon, which felt weird as hell. It felt like my bladder was expanding and then like contract. It was fucking weird. And then, I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you're screaming, you should probably skip ahead. They deflated the balloon and then proceeded to pull a tube with a deflated balloon at the end of it through my bladder all the way through my urethra and out. And that, I swear to God, is the most painful thing I have ever experienced. It is as painful as you're imagining right now. It is. It's as painful as you're imagining. The pain happens and you're like, yep, it's that level of pain where like all I could say was fuck. All I could do was like tense up and be like, fuck, you know, like it was just like taking over. And after that happened, I remember I almost passed out. Like I was getting like spots and stuff because it was just such an intense like thing.
Right.
And then for the next week, every time I peed, it felt like razor blades. But anyway, that was probably the most like, I don't know if you count that as physically strenuous, but you know what I mean? Like,
I think, yeah, you got me beat.
That shit was rough, dude.
On the painful metric. The most painful thing I ever did was also in the military. There's a theme here. The most painful thing I ever did was get, I had to do OC spray. And it's basically like pepper spray. And they like lace you in the eyes, like right underneath your eyes. And you have to like strobe your eyes. You have to blink really fast to make sure it really gets in there. And yeah, that was literally the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. Like I was in constant burning, searing pain in my eyes. And then so you get sprayed and they don't just like let you deal with it or anything. You immediately have to go run an obstacle course where you have to like fight people.
Oh my God.
People are going to try and fight you. You have to fight off people and like you have to like kick a bag and stuff like that and like do all kinds of exercises. And you're just like in like the worst pain you've ever felt. And so I just think like, yeah. And then the worst part of that pain is like, I can take intense pain. Like if it's short and like getting kicked in the balls.
Yeah.
Like you
if
get
it's
kicked
quick,
in the balls, you like feel
sucks.
that intense pain. It sucks. And then it kind of goes away.
It's when it keeps going, bro.
Dog, that pain didn't stop for another day and a half.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And water activates the.
See, there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. You just sit there in pain. And then like I just remember thinking about like.
But your eyes tear up.
Yeah.
Which activates it.
Yep. And
fuck,
dude. You have to go home, you take a shower, activates it. You can't use a pillow because that stuff will get on your pillow and then you'll sleep on the pillow again and it'll get back in your eye.
Oh my God.
And so they had I just remember when I was there, I remember we were out in the grass field. I just remember punching the ground and like digging my fingers into the dirt and cursing the name of the gunny who sent me to that course. Sorry. But like I said all kinds of like just foul shit.
Yeah, because you were just in extreme pain.
I was just in extreme pain and I had to find some way to let it out. And so
I think yours is its own difficulty because like
I'd rather do that than have a balloon pulled through my dick hole.
Dude, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It feels like you imagine and it's as painful as you imagine. And it's just like one of those things where you just have to fucking like breathe and then they just do it and you're like, ah, and then it's done.
Yeah.
But then the part that made it worse was I thought it was over, you know? But it wasn't because when that happens, like I said, every time you go to the bathroom, it is extremely painful after that.
Right.
So you would literally hear me yelling in the bathroom.
Oof.
I don't yell out of people don't like yell out of pain, you know? Like that's not like a thing you really do. It was so painful that I had to like make noises to like get through it, you know?
Right.
It was rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably my most, physically strenuous things. I thought this would be a funny conversation topic because, as y'all can probably tell, considering that the majority of my, physically difficult activities were in the span of most things, not very, physically intense. I figured that would be kind of funny because I don't really go out a lot. I'm not a physical activity person. So I knew mine were going to be pretty small things.
I still think it sucks, dude.
It's mostly because I was so young when it happened.
Yeah.
That it just it sucked. But I've never been on anything like a crucible, anything
Right.
of that nature. Like I've had to work really hard for multiple days in a row with very little respite.
Right.
But I've never had to do anything like that,
I remember the shittiest. So the Crucible was like, something that like you had to do and that you felt pride in what you were doing and stuff like that.
Right.
I remember, if you want to talk about the shittiest thing I've ever done, right? The shittiest situation I've ever been put in, I can only remember one thing, right? So, and my job in the Marine Corps, my job was logistics. So I was supposed to be in charge of like shipping people, vehicles, engines, generators, whatever you needed from one place to another. This includes fuel. One time we needed, what was it? We needed to fill, they needed a certain amount of fuel. When they told me how much fuel they needed, that amount of fuel was less than what we actually needed. So we filled up I think it was I think it was like 5-gallon jerry cans of fuel what do they call it? It's like the fuel they use for it's like diesel basically.
Okay, yeah.
And so we filled that up, we got it, and then we're getting ready for the op. And what happened is that the commander, our gunny goes to a meeting with the commander, and they're explaining everything that's going on with this op. And the commander asks hey, how much fuel do we have? And he says, we have this much. You guys asked for this much. He's like, what? That's not enough because we need blah 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 blah. And Gunny comes back to me and says hey, we're supposed to have this much fuel and this needs to go out by today. And so we need to go out and we need to get this fuel and stuff, right? What happens is we have to get this it's like this huge fuel tankard thing that fits on the back of a truck, right?
Okay.
And the thing that we had was what happened is that thing cracked and we couldn't use it. Normally what you could do is you could take it to a fuel station, they'd hook up a hose to it, and they'd fill it up full of fuel, right?
Right.
Ours broke and it couldn't be used. So we had to go fill up, it was 5 55-gallon drums.
Oh my God.
No, it was I think it was 8 of those drums of fuel. So we had to go to a regular ass gas station.
Oh
right?
my God. And get diesel?
Yes, and get diesel, right? So you go to this gas station. We had to keep the drums on the back of a truck. So that means that we had to use 5-gallon jerry cans and fill
and just
up.
Keep filling?
Yes, and fill up by hand these
my God.
8 55-gallon drums full of fuel. And
each one requiring 11 of those 5-gallon jerry cans.
Exactly. So it was
88 individual trips of those cans.
Exactly. We had to, and so the thing is that it's not like a regular gas station. You need a fuel key to undo the to say hey, you can use this fuel. And so it would stop every so often, and you'd have to keep going and using the fuel key to turn it back on. And so our entire shop had to be out there. We started this. We figured out that we had the wrong amount of fuel at 2:00. The normal work day for us was 4:00. 4:00 is when you get to go home. It was a Friday, and
4 p.m.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a Friday. we go home at 4, and we're gonna do stuff for that weekend. But no, because this thing was wrong, our entire shop had to stay and help out, filling up these jerry cans or these 55-gallon drums, and we didn't finish that until 9
Oh damn.
at night, and we had to do it by like cell phone light, and we got fuel like all over us, and the J what is it called? It's like J something, but that fuel is like, if you get it on you, it's like it like could cause cancer and shit like that. And so it's like really bad. So we spent hours out there filling it up, and like we're covered in gas and stuff like that. All of us smell, and like they were all mad at me.
JP8?
JP8, that's what it's called, JP8. And thanks, well, thanks Jeremy.
Yeah, I got you.
Anyway, it's called JP8.
Oh, it's jet fuel.
It's like jet fuel. But they can use it in different vehicles. But that shit, if it gets on you, it's really bad. And so if you while we were doing that, they were all mad at me, because they were like, man, if you could get that all, if you could have gotten it done in the first place, we wouldn't have to be doing this. And I was like, it wasn't my fault. The thing broke. Like,
yeah.
But like all the guys were like, oh man,
they're not gonna take that.
Wheeler fucked up. And
yeah,
stuff
sure.
like that.
The thing broke. Whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, come on. And yeah, it was just a fucking nightmare. But after that, I remember they let us off, and all of the guys, we all went out to Kintown, which is this. It's like a street of bars in Okinawa, and we all just got really fucked up on Spiritus.
Oh my
and,
god!
Like, we just drank our problems away, which is how you deal with a lot of stress in the military.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spiritus,
baby.
I don't think the viewers know what Spiritus is, Oscar. You might need to.
I can't wait till we go to Japan and you try Spiritus.
You might need to educate them on Spiritus here.
Spiritus is like it's an alcohol that's illegal in the States. It's like what? Jamie, can you pull that up? Can you pull up Spiritus?
Yeah.
I think it's like.
Wait, I got to do a Jamie voice though.
Okay, go ahead.
If I just do my voice, like, they'll think it's just me. You know?
Exactly.
Can you start that over?
I'll do it again. Hey, Jamie, can you pull up Spiritus for me?
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll get that for you. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, you're the best, Nathan.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Yeah, but Spiritus
was 96% alcohol.
Yeah. It's like the pure shit. Like, you could have one shot of Spiritus and you'd be good for the night, dude. We used to do things like they would put our heads over the back of the counter and then fill up the bottle until, like, they'd fill up our mouths until we said stop or we closed our mouth or something like that.
Holy shit.
And so, yeah, we used to drink
96% alcohol.
Yeah, and so you used to do that, or you get a fish bowl where it was like a bowl.
Yeah, the big, yeah.
And they would put Spiritus in it, and it just fuck you up. Yeah, and so like that was.
That does
like,
not sound pleasant to drink.
It was not. It's like pure alcohol,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
So you would drink it and it would evaporate in your mouth like as soon as you open your mouth.
I don't know if I want to drink that, bro. I
Oh,
feel like
dude,
I'm poisoning my body.
You're going to. You are.
Well, then why would I drink that, dude?
Because, well, while we drank it was depression. But,
yeah.
But you drink it because it's fun.
I don't know, dude. I might just like.
Nah, You'll take a shot. You'll take
I'll
take at least
I'll drink
one
with
shot
the boys. Like I'll join in, but I'm not trying to drink a lot of this fucking like 100% alcohol.
Yeah, it's practically just poison. But,
yeah,
but yeah, it was a good time. But that day fucking sucked, dude. Just going up and down and having a chain, and it was just tiring, and like everybody else got to leave, everybody else went home and was enjoying their weekend, and we were just there, and then it was thankless. And the best part is that they didn't even use that fuel. We did all that, and the out got canceled. So we were just that was the best part. For months we had those drums of fuel for no reason.
Just sitting there.
This is the military. This story is a small
microcosm
of what the military is. You do all that work. You get you
bust your ass doing like the craziest shit.
And then they're like, "Nah, we don't need any more. That op got canceled." And then you're just like,
well,
all right.
Guess I'll go fuck myself.
Also, it's a thankless job. If you work in the S4, you don't get thanked for shit.
What is the S4?
S4 is like the logistics section of a unit, right?
Okay.
And so, if you work in the S4, you don't get thanked for shit. They might say like thanks when you're there, but like we used to have like fucking what's it called? We used to have, oh man, what do they call it? When everybody gets together. Formations. We used to have formations at the end of every week, right? Where they would get the whole unit together and they would like be like, oh, here's what we're doing. And like, you guys are doing a great job. They would talk about every other section, but not S4.
Wow.
They would like, we were like the black sheep of the fucking battalion. No matter what we did, no matter how hard we worked, we got up earlier than everybody else. We left work later than everybody else. When the pandemic happened, we're the only ones that the entire unit, the entire section had to come in because we were essential, but quote unquote. But everyone else got to work half days, and some of them got to work remote. The S4 was the only one in that unit, right? That wasn't like, higher ups. So we worked our asses off, and we got nothing. Our guys used to have to come in early to rent out trucks because people would have to do like PT and stuff like that. And so they would do that, and then they would talk shit about us like constantly, dude. Like we got shat on back there, but that's why we were so close. We were like really close together because we had no one else.
Right.
We were like the boys, dude.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Damn.
That was just nuts, dude.
What so I was looking up while you were talking. I was looking up what an S4 does.
Right.
And it's like you said, they're logistics, but they're also the quote they use is Napoleon Bonaparte once observed that an army marches on its stomach.
Yes.
So, army can't fight without a variety of supplies in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And that's what S4 is responsible for, is direct supply and logistics mission.
Yep. Bullets can't fly without supply.
Is that what they would say?
That's what supply would say. They're technically a part of S4, but they're usually something else.
So there's like S1, S2, S3, S5.
Yeah, S1. Those are the. I'm about to get some hot takes, baby. So S1 are the laziest motherfuckers I ever met in the military, at least in the Marine Corps. S1 never did anything. They're admin. S1 is admin, so they would help you
personnel.
with like, they would help you with like your orders, or they would help you with like.
It says S1 is personnel / manpower.
Yeah, they would help you with like that's who you had to turn your roster into. But sometimes they would, they helped you with like little tic tac things that admin would help you with, right?
Yeah.
If you try to go to admin, if you tried to go to S1 outside of like the very beginning of the day, they would be like, "We're closed. We're doing training." Dude, the S1 in my first unit used to have like a sign on the door that they would close the door. The door would have like these blinds over it, right? Or they would paper it up.
Yeah.
So you couldn't see inside, and they would just put a note on the door saying that S1 is closed for training. If you have to talk to us about something, go to Sergeant Major, which is like the top guy in the unit, and like you're not going to go to him and ask them like, why the fuck is an S1
Imagine
doing
just
their job?
closing your operation and putting a sign on your door that says,
exactly.
"If you need us, go talk to somebody else."
They would do like maybe get them for like 30 minutes in the morning to where you could actually get something done or signed off, but the rest of the day it was like it was like they either weren't there or they would say they would help you and they wouldn't, and or it would just take fucking forever. But
I'd be interested in being an S2.
S2 is like Intel, the Intel guys. So my second duty station, I was in an Intel unit, so they were all S2.
That would
basically.
be sick. Dude. I think Intel is cool.
Intel is cool. That's what Cotton does.
Okay.
That's what he did. That's where him and Mac both. Well, I don't know if they were Intel. They were just there at the Intel unit, but they could probably tell you more about it than I could. But Intel guys are really cool. I like the Intel guys. They're all nerds. They're all huge nerds.
Sure.
And they're all like super smart dudes. And so Intel was
Well, it's
cool.
good they got smart dudes in the intelligence.
Oh
unit.
yeah. Intel was cool, but like S3 was like your
Ops.
ops. They were like your guys that you would do like your PT tests and stuff like that with.
What about S5 plans?
S5 isn't
What does
really a
that
thing.
mean?
I've never even seen or heard of an S5. Like
S6 is comms.
S6 is comms, and S6 are like those dudes are like the weirdest dudes in the fucking military. Those dudes are all weirdos. Like no disrespect, I have a lot of friends in S6. But like there's a lot of like weird people in S6, and I've always noticed it everywhere I've gone. It's always like if you hear about somebody doing just something like out of fucking pocket, dude, it's always an S6 guy.
I wonder why.
There was like I don't know. It's just something in the fucking water there, dude. I fucking what was an like there's like an S6 guy that like he just like I remember one of my friends was like talking to him at like a party, and like the dude just like whips his dick out in the middle of the party.
What?
Yeah, just weird shit
What?
like that. Like yeah, shit like that. That's what S6 guys would do, or like they would. I don't know. They're just fucking weird, man. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and I think that pretty much covers all of it. S4, the
Well, there's
underdogs.
also there's also S7, S8, and S9.
S like that shit doesn't really.
S7 is training,
Yeah.
S8 is finance, and S9 is civil affairs.
Like finance would kind of be roped in with which one was supply was S4.
Supply's S4, yeah.
Supply's kind of like supply's kind of its own thing usually, but it's under S4. Same thing with like Motor T. Motor T would be
Do you think Louis C.K. was an S6?
probably, dude.
I mean, he whipped his dick out.
Yeah, anybody who does like anytime you hear like somebody doing something like just fucking off or weird in the military, or it'd be also the guys who would like I don't know. They're just
built different. They're just built different, dude.
They're just built different.
They're just built different.
That's what I would say about it. It's like yeah. But yeah, that's my take. S1, dude, I still can't like the audacity, like they would like look you in your eye. They wouldn't be doing anything, and you would ask them to do something for you, and they'd be like, "We're closed," or like, "We're about to go to lunch, so I'm not gonna be able to do that." And I'm like, "Dude, I can see you there playing Clash of Clans on your phone. Like, like just help me out. Get this signed off or something like that." It would always be something you need to, like, to go on leave or something, and like it's like the last thing you need to do, and you need to get it signed off by S1, and yeah, they were just no help.
Well, shit, man.
Sorry.
We covered a lot today.
Yeah, we did. Oh, is it time already? Oh, that's
It's time. Yeah, we're sitting at 1 minute or 1 hour 2 minutes right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it was fun talking with you again. We hope that you join us again next time for our.
We're gonna set up a thing where
Yes.
you can send in submissions. If you're listening, you can send in submissions for the question of the day, and we always bring that up in the beginning, like we did this time. So, I'll start linking to it underneath these videos.
Yeah.
So just go into the description and just fill out the form. It's a simple form. You just put like what your question is.
Right.
And I just wanted I didn't want to interrupt your outro, but I want everyone to interact with that, because you have the chance to change what we talk about on each episode, which is pretty fun,
and
cool.
make sure you're subscribing. Everyone except my dad, because he says that he won't subscribe to us until we make it.
Yeah, if you're Oscar's dad, do not subscribe.
Yeah, Dad, you're good. You don't really have to subscribe. Everyone else, though, please subscribe so you know that when new episodes are dropping. I know we missed a couple weeks, but we're looking to get back on schedule. Make sure that you're subscribed, you like the video, just to help us out, and to make this dream of ours a possibility.
And if you comment, you have to talk shit.
Oh, yeah.
You have to talk shit.
Yeah.
If you're gonna comment, I don't
Yeah.
want any. I don't want any fucking wholesome comments. I don't want any. Oh, I love you guys. You're awesome.
Yeah,
No.
talk about Nathan's stupid beanie.
Okay, dude, come on, bro, come on. No one even knew this. You just ruined the whole thing because this whole time people were imagining us, in their heads,
Right.
and now they're gonna know I had a beanie on the whole time too.
Yeah.
My stupid beanie, bro. What's wrong with my
Yeah.
beanie,
So
man?
anyway,
What's-
be sure to make fun of his beanie, and until next time, you never know what anybody's going through, so be kind to everybody. With that, have a good day.
Later.